Joining us on the phone lines right now at 66910028, NCMP for the Workers' Party, Gerald Giam, joins us as well. Gerald.
Hi, Daniel. Hi. Thanks for having me on the phone. Hello, Minister. It's good to talk to you.
Hello, good evening. We've been talking a lot about this lack of public discourse, if you would. Some people have said the WP have been very quiet on this as well.
Well, I think we have our views on this, and I understand that these rules have been made under the subsidiary legislation. So although it can be justified legally, I'm concerned that the government is making such an immediate and controversial change to the rules, and which potentially affect our fundamental freedoms. And this was done without first consulting the public or Parliament even. So I'm of the view that this change should have been tabled for debate in Parliament, and there should have been a public engagement to obtain the feedback before the decision was made.
Gerald, do you have a question for our panel?
Well, I would like to ask actually the Minister, I mean, now regarding the actual changes, I understand the objective is to bring the online news regulations in line with the regulations for print and broadcast media.
That's right.
However, many of the regulations for the mainstream media are already too restrictive, in my opinion. So now these onerous restrictions are being extended to the online space. So, Minister, is the government's intent then to control the online space, like how it controls the mainstream media?
Gerald, thanks for joining us on air. It feels like Ask Minister, doesn't it, sir? What's your response to that?
Well, the intent is not to control the online space. Firstly, I don't think that's possible, nor should we try. I think it's a futile effort, and I think you should respect that space. I think what we are doing really is to address the news sites. As I mentioned, we have existing policies, regulations with regards to print media. But that space has moved on. 1/3 of Singaporeans actually consume the news online. But the regulations don't provide for that. And basically what we've done is to bring that regulations into that space. But what is probably foremost on people's minds is really in terms of content. As I mentioned earlier, can we say what we want to say? Can we still read what we want to read? I would say that the regulations do not prevent that. I think what we are asking for is a certain level of responsibility for those who are reporting news. And essentially, it pretty much is already governed by some of the existing sort of regulations and understanding on that space. So the question now is that, does it prevent us? And that's where typically we associate the space in online, where we can really say a lot of things that we want to say, be critical. And I think that hasn't changed.
Can you really establish parity, though? I mean, is that realistic?
No,
They're so different animals.
I think it's different. I think even online it's very hard to define very precisely where the lines start and where it ends. But as with all spaces, I think we feel that as far as reporting news is concerned, I think you do need some form of a light regulation and light touch, and I think we are keeping it that way.
Gerald, your view on that?
Well, I think the point about the need to regulate things like hate speech and incitement of violence, I think that there's a good argument to be made for that. But if that is what the government wants to regulate, then why not just focus the legislation on regulating that, rather than leaving the definition so broad to include all Singapore news?
I've got a little bit of time. Quick response, sir.
No, well, I think we are regulating sites that are reporting on Singapore news, which is why some of these sites have been identified. But the rest of the blogs, the rest of the sites that are commenting and sharing perspectives, they are not part of that regulation.
We're going to talk more about certain views and voices that have come up online. Plus, we're going to continue taking your tweets at TP Vote. Keep tweeting us and calling us at 66910028. The discussion will continue after the break.